Alright, so this is Tsukasa Namba's 2021 combo. This is a very difficult trick. I am nowhere near mastering it, so bear with me if I miss a lot of the elements. So, this trick starts with a trapeze, and this is actually going to be a hurdle from the very first element. So, I, for once, don't have flat fingers, so I can't pinch with any section of the area in between the joints. So for example, I have to pinch right in between the joints here, and this is where you actually want to pinch the string right after you hit your trapeze. And you want to bend these three fingers here. You want to keep your index stretched out, and as you can see, you can create a slack here, and this is what you're going to swing over for the first element. So what actually happens here, when I play it slowly, is you keep this pinch, you pull this slack from underneath your index, you pull it apart, and you want to put this string into the gap, and you want to swing this slack you see coming out of the right side over your hand, over your non-throw hand, and let that hook into the yo-yo. But let me show you what actually happens here, because there's some kind of intricacy going on. So you have the slack coming out, right? So as you see in the beginning, I told you to stretch this out, and that's only because you want, when you swing this over, you don't want this to actually accidentally go over your finger like this. So once you get the slack over like this, you want to actually bend this in. And actually what happens, the pinch has to only be in the very beginning, and the moment you grab this with your throw hand, you can actually let go of the pinch here. See, because the pinch is now transferred over to your throw hand. You don't need a pinch anymore to play with this slack. Okay, so once you get that, now you want to bend these four fingers in, and that's because when you throw the slack over, you can see that the section that's closer to me, it's going over your non-throw hand, while the section that's further away from me has gone in front of your curled in fingers. And that's the whole reason why you want to curl these in, because that slack needs extra clearance for in order to go in front of those fingers. So like that. And the section of the slack that's closer to me is going to be the one hitting the gap. Now that you hit this, you can actually let go of these curls here, and you can see that you're in this weird mount where you can see this slack section going in between this little loop you see here, and that's important for the next step here that I'll show you. Alright, so you hit the slack, and what you want to do here now is you want to pluck this middle string here with your thumb, and you want to roll this yo-yo over, and then hit everything but the string coming right out of your throw hand middle finger that's strung up to your finger right here. So you want to roll over, and you want to actually aim for the strings, the two strings that's closest to you, like that. I know it's very weird, so let me show you that again. This is a very, very weird element, because it's very chaotic here the moment you roll it. So that's why I'm really recommending you to only aim for the two strings coming closest to you. And you want to roll over like that. Let me show you that again. And so I'd say first practice that first, and I'll show you the mount you'll end up in after you land that. Oops, is that a habit? So this is the mount you'll end up in after you land that roll, and this is when you let go of your non-through hand index, and then this is the mount you'll end up in before you move on to this next element. You can see that the spinning is dying out really fast on my yo-yo. That's because there are a lot of string layers, and you gotta really be moving quick in between mounts to really not lose that much spin time while doing this combo. So you got this slack, you got this pluck, and you wanna really keep onto this string until after you landed this, because sometimes this slack is prone to like coming out of the yo-yo like this, and this is no good. You want this slack to be in the gap of the yo-yo. So you landed this, right? Now what you want to do is you want to roll the yo-yo. You want to miss this string here like this, and then you want to let go. And that's the slack that you'll see soon after I do this all over again. Do this, you got this, right? Now don't die on me. Okay, you want to roll over, and you see these two strings coming out of your through hand thumb. You want to pluck, you want to slice this as you roll over, and you'll end up in this mount. Let me show you that again, so I have some more spin on my yo-yo. Boom. So when the slice the two strings coming out of your thumb, and you end up in this, I don't know what this mount is, but I know you've seen this somewhere. It's kind of like this GT-ish mount, but it's fake, because if you let go of this loop, it'll just unravel, right? So you have this GT looking section here, and as you can see, you have to pop the yo-yo out the front to dismount. You want to pop that out of the front and land on the loop that's further away from you, that's on your through hand thumb. You pop, land it here, and then you want to roll over and hit both of these strings coming out of your through hand like that. So this is set up for the next tension slack that looks like this. I'll show you that again, but that's what happens after that. So hit the slack, pluck, whoops, that's what happens if you miss, if you let go of the index too early. Anyways, you want to land it here, you want to land it here. Now what you want to do is you want to add tension here to your thumb here, and that's what's gonna send this slack flying over. And right after you let go of this, you want to kind of pinch, like soft pinch, this loop over here that's on your through hand index, and at the same time you want to pinch this section on your non-through hand index. You want to pinch both of these, and that's what's gonna keep this slack open. And then now you want to swing this yo-yo over, and that's gonna carry the slack over like that. And there's something very important while performing that element, and I'll show you real quick. So you want to throw this over, right? But as you throw this over, you want to keep the gap between your two hands the same. So if there's any sort of like sliding in between the strings here, it can mess the trick up. And I'll show you why real soon. So it came over, you can see the gap between our hands haven't, my hands haven't changed. And this is because if you don't do this, there is a risk of the string going like in between the gap here, or like kind of rejecting here, kind of getting an extra wrap on the bearing. Because if you don't keep your hands the same, if you don't keep the distance between your hands the same, then you won't get into this mount where you have this string actually kind of dismounted from the gap, and you have this little slack here, and the slack is gonna come over counterclockwise, so it's gonna have this kind of momentum, and you're gonna use that momentum to swing this back in and hit the the section away from you into the back into the gap like that. And that's gonna be the setup for the next element. Let me show you that again. Let me get the tension out. All right. Oops. Let me mess that up again. Get this. Tension. All right. You get this. As you can see, it came around counterclockwise, so you had this momentum. You want to put this slack into the gap, and now you're in this weird mount. You can let go of the thumb here. Oh, whoops, that was not the right section to let go of. You can let go of your index here, actually. There we go. And what you want to do is you want to pop the yo up, hit the string section closer to you on your non-through-hand thumb on the way up, and then you want to land on the section that's further away from you. So I'm going to hit this and land on that string, and that's just going to happen while you're doing the pop. And you have this like kamikaze-ish mount, which is not really a kamikaze. You can roll out. Before you do that, you want to pop up and pluck the string that's closest to you on your third hand, like that. And let me bind it up real quick again before I move on. Whoops. So you ended up in this mount, right? Ideally, you would have two fingers in this loop here, and I'll explain to you real quick. You don't need to. You can do this and move on to the next mount. But let me show you why. So you have these two fingers in, right? So you want to roll this over, but you want to actually pluck the front string here as you roll it over, and you want to let go of the thumb that's holding onto this section from your non-through hand. And you want to roll it over, but it's easier to have these two fingers to separate these two string sections on your non-through hand, because you want to only pluck the front section like that, and you end up in this other weird kamikaze-ish mount. So you want to keep these two fingers separate. You want to roll this over, and you end up in this. This is where you move on to the next element. And this is actually a separate element where Tsukasa has a separate tutorial of. So I'll explain it to you right after I hit the next element. Hit the slack, this tension slack into the gap, hit this, and you, as you can see, you have two fingers here. Keep these two fingers in that loop. You want to pop and pluck the front string. You keep these separate. Only pluck the section that's below as you roll over, and this is when you can take out the middle finger here, and then you roll the yo-yo to the left, and you want to keep this like that, and then you want to pop the yo-yo up, hit this string here, and then pluck the um, pluck this section as underneath your third hand index. And this is hard, so right like that. And I'll now teach you the last element separately. This is identical to this, so you end up in the keychain mount, and then you just pull this string section in the middle apart like that. You cross it, and then you uncross your non-third hand index, and you end up in the same configuration as before. So you want to pop this up, hit the string, and then you pluck this string section coming out below your third hand index like that. This is a really weird mount, and when you hit that chop thingy, you'll notice that your third hand is kind of pointing towards you with this gaping gap here, and you want to basically make this yo-yo escape in between this space and the string that's currently mounted on, like that. And as you roll over, you want to keep this third hand configuration, and you want to hit the yo-yo gap into the string section that's furthest away from you, like that. And this is a setup for the last element, which is like this, into the tension slack thingy. I'll show you real quick. Let me show you that again. Oops, I hit my camera. Oh, yeah, let me show you this separately. Again, keychain mount. You want to pluck only the middle string apart, untwist, and then you want to spread this little section here, pop into the top string, and pluck the string here. Whoops, this is what happens when you miss. Like that. Keep this configuration, escape the yo-yo in between the gap, hit the furthest away loop on your third hand, and this is the second to last mount. And you can see there are a lot of strings here, but you see on your non-third hand index there are two string loops, essentially, the one further away from you and the one closer to you. You want to pluck the underneath section of the loop closer to you on your non-third hand index, and you want to roll the yo-yo over like that. And you can see there's this kind of setup here where you can use tension to shoot that slack over, and you want to hit that into the gap, but I'll show you that in one motion so it looks more understandable. Alright. Oops. Alright, this is the mount. So this is really hard. Now you want to kind of pinch this section here that's crossing. You see the loop that's further away from you has this like crossing section. You're going to use that area to pinch this string here, and you need that pinch in order to keep the slack as you perform that tension slack. Oops. So I'm going to pinch this section here, and then you add tension, let that shoot over, and you want the slack to actually avoid wrapping around your thumb. Let me show you that in separate. Let me stop the yo-yo and show you that once again to the mount. Alright. So you got this, I'm gonna kill the yo-yo here. Alright. So you insert your middle finger here, and then you wanna pinch a section here. I have to aim it right where my joints are because of my fingers. If your fingers are flat, then you won't have to worry about that. So as you're keeping this pinch, you want to add tension and the tension is going to shoot the slack out. And you want to keep this thumb like spread apart, and this is when the slack comes around. And then as when I showed you earlier, this slack that comes around like wrapped around my thumb, you don't want that. This is why you want to spread this apart. The slack comes around, and then that slack's gonna hit the gap of the yo-yo, like that. Boom. And it looks like this, and this is the part where it just unravels without any effort. So let me see if I can hit that on camera. That. Keep this pinch. As you can see, this, as you keep this pinch, this slack comes around. You want that slack to hit the gap of the yo-yo, like this, and then you unravel into just a simple dismount. So that's basically the whole combo. Good luck.